Love smarter, not harder. Today's question. Hi, I love your perspective and could really use some advice. I'm having trouble helping my boyfriend see healthy boundaries in our relationship on his end. We've been together nearly 2 years and are very serious. We've run into issues in the past of him having guy talk with his friends about other women, and I don't think the things he says respect me or our relationship. He responded to my concerns with, "I'll just call them to talk about it then," or "It's just guy talk." But the things he says about other women make me feel insecure about myself and our relationship. How do I help him understand what healthy boundaries are without controlling him? Also, recently, he got a text from one of his ex-girlfriends, and she said that she felt compelled by God to reach out to him and tell him that he's such a great guy, and she's so thankful she met him because he shows what a good boyfriend looks like, since she hasn't had any luck in relationships. I didn't like his response, which was, "Keep on singing that beautiful voice of yours and you'll have men crawling if they aren't already." I tried to explain to him that I was upset that he hid these texts from me, and I didn't think his response was appropriate, but he doesn't see my side and sees it as no big deal. So this is really rough because what I'm hearing is that there are two elements here where he has put, or instances rather, where he's put other people's opinion above yours. Like, it's more important for him to do his bro talk with his buddies than to recognize that that kind of talk is hurtful for you, even though you've told him that. And then also, it was more important for him to encourage his ex-girlfriend, and that was more important to him than considering your feelings as well. And I don't know about, you said that he hid the texts from you. I don't know if 2 years in, I know you guys are serious, it's been 2 years, if you guys have open access to each other's phones, so that you really did feel like he was purposefully hiding that text, or if he just had a text correspondence and didn't assume that you would see it. But either which way, he's really very clearly showing you that your feelings don't matter here. And I get it. 2 years in, that's very hurtful to feel. And I do want to bring up a little research, and then I'll bring Dan in for the male perspective. But when we talk about conflict in relationships, and you guys know that I'm a big fan of recognizing that dating, even 2 years in when you're serious, you're still gathering information. And you've asked him to change, and he's minimizing your requests and minimizing your feelings. And that he's showing you who he is right now. And the reason I want to bring in the research is because the 𝘵𝘠months, who are the big marriage researchers out there, and they show us so much about what works in marriages and what doesn't work. And because you're serious with him, I'm assuming you're looking to marriage. The 𝘵𝘠months find in their research that 69% of problems in relationships are unsolvable. What that means is that if you continue on with him, you have to acknowledge that it is very likely that he will continue to minimize your concern and minimize your feelings and put other people's feelings, at least in these two areas, above yours. And the 𝘵𝘠months talk about managing versus resolving conflict in relationships. And I would encourage you to head over to their website and take a look at the article. It's, like I said, it's called Managing versus Resolving Conflict in Relationships. And they have 3 conflict blueprints. There's a way to approach him, but I think you've already done that. You've said, hey, that when that happens, when the bro talk happens, and when you have these conversations with an ex, I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling hurt. So you've already done that. There may be some other ways to approach it that the 𝘵𝘠months share that I think could be helpful for you. And I'll bring in Dan to give us a little bit more. But I do want to reiterate that we're gathering information, and we have to recognize that you don't want to control him, like you said, and that's wise because you can't control him. And guys don't want to be nagged and mothered. So I'm just concerned that you have articulated your feelings and he has dismissed them and minimized them. What would you suggest from a male perspective how she might be able to approach this?
Well, I don't know what you feel his maturity level is, and I don't know if he's a young guy or older guy, but I would think a real turnaround in the thought process of a guy is when he actually can see from another person's perspective, in this case, your perspective. So I would think if he's a good guy, and hopefully he is because you've been with him for 2 years, and maybe you've done this, but I would give him some good examples of how would he feel if you and your girlfriends were speaking about guys in a certain way, and give him, very, clear examples, not to not to piss him off, but just to kind of, set the example and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. How would you feel if we were talking about John and Henry and this, in these sorts of ways, and to get him to really see it through your lens. And then if he doesn't respond and he doesn't stop engaging with this type of talk or whatever it all involves, then you kind of have your answer that that he's maybe not going to change, or maybe he needs to mature a little bit. I'm not quite sure, but I think a kind person that has some introspection ability would change with that type of response.
Thanks, honey. That's helpful. I'm wondering just one more thing from a guy's perspective. Like if he's with the guys and he just kind of doesn't engage in that. If he's with the boys, they're going to have the conversation. It's not like he's going to be like, guys, don't talk like that. That's disrespectful to women, right? But if he just doesn't participate, is he going to get egged on? Like, what's your problem? Like, is it kind of a man thing? Like, this is how we talk about women.
No, I mean, not if he has decent friends.
Okay.
I mean, you're always going to there may be some fringe friends. There are friends of friends that maybe are in a bad shape on their relationships and they don't really care, how they act.
Yeah.
But all he has to do is just disengage.
Okay.
He can be there. He just doesn't participate. Right. And then eventually it's pretty well known that, hey, this is not something that he wants to be involved in. And so it's really just all about your actions and not engaging. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan, and thanks for the question. We hope it's helpful.